NFL Combine is underway up in Indianapolis. Lateral quickness, athleticism, not an issue for Caleb Williams. But, Chad, they have plenty of issues if you're the team drafting Caleb Williams and what you should be concerned about. We've said this long and often on the show, and it's coming to fruition up in Indy.
Yeah, I'm hanging back and staying away from Caleb Williams. If I'm an NFL team and I'm trying to trust someone with my franchise, I'm avoiding Caleb Williams. And I understand the talent. I know what we've seen from him in college. He also, for Caleb Williams, it wasn't a great year at USC. It wasn't a great year as a leader. Wasn't a great year from a wins-loss perspective. I know a lot of that has to do with his defense, but I don't think was as good as we all expected coming off the year before. But again, great talent, but unless Caleb Williams agrees to fire his father as his business manager, I'm avoiding him. I'm staying away from him. Carl Williams, his dad, is a problem. Caleb Williams does not have an agent right now. He's got two managers that his dad has worked with for years, going back to when Caleb was 13 years old. And they did not hire an NFLPA-approved agent. Why? Because in meetings with agents, Carl Williams was asking them if they could find a way to subvert the collective bargaining agreement so they could avoid the rookie contract. That's how highly Carl Williams thinks of his son, that he's going to blow up the rookie contract system that has been collectively bargained because his son is just that good. I don't think he's that good. He's good. Is he the best NFL prospect I've seen at quarterback in the last 5 or 10 years? No. I would argue that he's not. And I would also argue that anyone coming into the league with these types of question marks already, based on family relationships and based on things that have been said, I don't think they're worth the trouble. Here's another fact about Caleb Williams. The guy's reportedly made $10 million or more the last 2 years at USC. He's already a professional athlete. He's already a millionaire. He's coming into the league not as a hungry rookie quarterback looking to capitalize to get that enormous contract after playing out their rookie deal. He's coming into the league as a millionaire professional athlete already from his time at USC. I'm simply here to say buyer beware on Caleb Williams. This is a guy that I would avoid if I'm trying to hand the keys to my Ferrari of a franchise over to someone. I might do it to Caleb Williams if his daddy isn't involved. I'm not doing it for Caleb and Carl Williams, and I'm pretty sure it's a package deal.
Well, and no agent will effectively confirm that. We've heard from both recently. We haven't heard from Caleb Williams or Carl Williams in a couple of months, really. And now this week, where he's headed to chat with, I believe, 8 teams is the report. He'll chat with and meet with the Bears, the Commanders, Patriots, Raiders, Falcons, Jets, Giants, and Vikings. That coming from Ian Rappaport. Everyone's going to do their due diligence with him. You're going through him and you're going through his father, Carl, if you want to draft Caleb Williams. The talent is there. And Chad, I'm with you. Do I put him in the highest regard with some of the recent quarterbacks who have been drafted? Recent going back to the Herbert and Burrow draft? No, I don't. I don't put him there. But I also have the off the field mindset, mentality. I don't mind the business approach. It's just the way things have been going about that just is confusing to me. And while he's answering questions about whether or not he's going to demand to be traded if the Bears want to pick him, and he says that no, he's not going to, that's really the topic more so than how's he going to transform a franchise. It's not going to work out for him if he goes to Chicago. It's not. There's going to be issues with the Bears coming up, with ownership, inheritance taxes that are going to be a ton of money. Is that franchise going to be for sale? Are they going to vote to not continue that ownership with the McCaskies? That's all in play, plus the stadium, everything else. And the fact that Carl Williams won't go away. Caleb Williams, he's the Heisman by default is what I've described, because you had the injury to Hendon Hooker, and C.J. Stroud didn't step up and win the game against Michigan in the second half. He got the vote. And then the Heisman winner comes back and we saw what USC produced in year 2 of the Heisman campaign. The thing, though, is we also saw Carl Williams come to the forefront. And the quotes about the draft process and whether or not I believe it was Florio back in July of last year, 2023, had the report that Williams had asked or was discussing whether or not he could have a portion of the team, a percentage of the ownership in the team if he was drafted. Now, you can't do that. But Carl Williams is the one that was doing it, not Caleb Williams. And it's Kalen Collar of The Athletic who reported that the previous rumors from Florio were accurate because we never heard of it. We actually have, but it actually came from another owner. Bud Adams tried to give this to Peyton Manning in 2012, and he couldn't do it because the NFL doesn't allow this to happen. You cannot offer ownership stakes as part of player contracts. So this doesn't get off the ground. But what Carl is discussing now through GQ is, quote, the funky thing about the NFL draft process is he'd almost be better off not being drafted than being drafted first. The system is completely backwards. The way the system is constructed, you go to the worst possible situation, the worst possible team, the worst organization in the league, because of their desire for parity, gets the first pick. So it's the gift and the curse. Now, the follow of that interview largely led him to just keep his mouth shut. But now you have Caleb Williams saying that if I get drafted by the Bears, I'll be excited. This is through ESPN and Pete Thamel. If they trade the pick and I get drafted by someone else, I'm just as excited. Speaking about Chicago, they have a talented team, a talented offense and defense, and for anyone to be in that situation, I think they'd be excited. Well, he goes on to say that there are plenty of situations for him, and he knows about the Justin Fields decision that's coming up. But about the trade, about the Commanders, he says he's not asking for the Bears to trade the pick. I'm not pushing any agenda. At the end of the day, the Bears have the last say. Regardless of how I feel, I'm not pushing an agenda of, yeah, I want to go, or no, I don't want to go. I'm excited for whatever comes. That to me just doesn't ring as, yes, I want to be in Chicago. Now, have they actually talked to the guy? Chad, I don't know. That will happen today. That will happen this week, or it has happened this week. But a lot of teams are lining up to chat with the guy who they want to decide if he's worth trading up for. And the Bears want to decide, do we keep Justin Fields? Do we draft someone else? And if we trade the pick, what's the haul and how far do we go down before we address the quarterback situation? What's our plan if we get rid of Fields and we also decide to, for the second year in a row, trade the number 1 overall pick and slide down for a draft haul? It's a big decision. And Caleb Williams has been, much like Andrew Luck, Joe Burrow, and others, he's the number 1 overall pick going into the draft. Who wants him? And it's more about who wants them. Who wants Caleb and Carl? Because while Carl's kept his mouth shut the last couple of months, well, here he is again through The Athletic confirming that, yeah, the rumors are true that he was asking for a portion of the team, but the team he gets drafted for. That's just not, it's not realistic because it's not available. They had this structure that Carl is talking about, Carl Williams' dad. Chad, remember the Pac-Man Jones holdout here in Nashville?
Yeah.
And the money that was handed to the rookie to show up 29 days later. That flipped with the new collective bargaining agreement in 2011, where
it's slotted.
The veterans got more money than the rookies. You had rookies coming in, holding out, and making more in a signing bonus than some of the guys, the vets, that made throughout their career. And the vets changed that in the new CBA.
So let's do a checklist here. Of all the things Caleb Williams or Carl Williams or his representation, I'm just going to call it Caleb Williams because his dad, like it or not, is his representative. He is his business manager. He is a representative of Caleb Williams. So Caleb Williams, throughout this process, has reportedly been going around trying to shop for agents that can systematically destroy the collective bargaining agreement so their son and Caleb and his client can get some rookie deal that currently isn't available, because they think that the structure of the NFL is unfair, because the structure of the NFL promotes parity across the league and has developed into the biggest sports business in America because of that structure, because it's about the 32 teams and it's about the league. It's about team, not individual. And that structure, that's no. That doesn't benefit my son. That doesn't benefit me, and I don't like it, and that's not good for us and me. So I hate that. And, all these other rookies have to go by with this because the CBA dictates it? Nope, not for me. I'm special. Not going to happen. Let's find a way around that. And if you can't, as an agent, I'm just not going to hire an agent. Instead, my two buddies are going to represent me, and we're not going to have an agent. And they're out there shopping around, or at least floating out the idea that Caleb should be part owner of the team that drafts him. Can we find a way to get that into the rule book? There's also reports, I'm reading an article at The Athletic, where Carl Williams, in meetings with agents, this is coming from reports from agents, said that he says some insane things and has some insane ideas about his son and what they deserve in the NFL draft. I mean, if we're looking at a yes-no box next to each other, I am checking nope, 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 nope. Caleb Williams, here's a fact. He hasn't done a damn thing in the NFL yet. He hasn't. I have no idea how good he is because he hasn't taken a single snap in the NFL. If you want to talk to me about business and looking out for yourself and number one and all of that, I understand business. I understand money and the desire to make more money. Go be good in the NFL for a year or two first. Go start your career. Let's go see what you are as an NFL quarterback. Then when you get to that next contract and you've built it up, you can start talking about really cashing in. Really making that money that you feel is deserved at that point. When I hear things like this, I automatically think this is a player that's not going to be overly motivated once they get paid. Because the entire goal here, from Carl Williams down to Caleb, seems to be get paid. Get the highest amount of dollars I can possibly get. That's all I'm really concerned with. Where the priority should be ball, 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 ball. That's all I'm concerned with. I want to be a great NFL quarterback, and the rest will take care of itself. We can get that ball rolling downhill on endorsements and more money and everything else. Heck, he's going to the league as a 10 millionaire already from what he made at USC. And here's another fact about Caleb Williams. He got worse at USC, and that team got worse. And I can't overlook that. They had a lot of guys return, including him, and they were worse from his first year to his second year at USC. Those are the facts. He came out and shot out like a cannon at Oklahoma. Great talent, great player. Follows Lincoln Riley to USC. Great first season there. Wins a Heisman Trophy. Got worse. He got worse. The team got worse. His next year. I'm seeing a lot of checks in the no box for Caleb Williams.
Well, but and I agree with what you're saying. I mean, I wouldn't draft him. But they have checked yes in all the boxes to this point that have been about ball and about making money. They've done that. Since he was 10 years old, you have his dad planning out this grand parade through the best quarterback coaches around the country and head coaches for coaching Caleb Williams. And it's led him to be the definitive number one overall pick. And he was making a ton of money in college because of the rules and how things changed. But there's no doubt in my mind he was still going to get that money somehow. And then when you look at the list of NIL deals the dude had, it's impressive for a guy that I didn't see much in commercials. I don't know if you did, Chad.
No, he was all over Dr. Pepper.
That one.
The Dr. Pepper commercials all the time. I mean,
everyone through, I believe, Neutrogena to many more.
Oh, we saw his penthouse in L.A.,
Many more. But he has been about ball because his dad has set him up throughout this process. So, and he does have a team around him. I think it's just controlled by his father because he's got a marketing team that has done. There's no doubt that the marketing team is legit based on what we see with his contracts elsewhere. And I think he's going to come in and be about the team, about Caleb Williams and quarterbacking that offense. I just don't think that the distractions are just going to go away. They're always going to be there. And the discussion about, the NFL owners back in July got together and they had this vote where you could not have non-family members within the league buy into ownership of the team. And so many are thinking, that's because the Caleb Williams rule. But that's also, think about what was going on with the Jets the the previous 4 months prior to that vote, there was discussion about whether or not Rodgers was going to get ownership. So they clarified everything where you can have non-family. They prohibit non-family employees from taking equity in teams. And then right after that is whenever you had the report from Florio. This was in May or June. Then Florio had his report about the rumor that was going around that they were asking for it. And then 2 other sources have confirmed it to The Athletic. Point being, there's always going to be the pot stirring, and it's going to be demands that teams are just going to get tired of. Or he's going to demand things like trade me, which he's not doing yet. But who knows what's going to happen between now and April.
I think his main motivation is capitalization of his brand, of the money he can make right off the bat in the NFL. And I'm not saying that football isn't one of his priorities. It certainly is. You don't get to be that good without it being a priority. I don't know that it's the priority. And if I'm drafting a quarterback with the first overall pick, I got to know that I'm drafting a guy that the sole priority of this person, especially to start their career, is to be the leader of this team and be a great NFL quarterback. And if I've got any doubt in my mind about that not being the case, or there being other priorities, I'm not drafting him, and that's why I'm not drafting Caleb Williams. Hutton, I think
I haven't heard that from Caleb, though. I've only heard that from his dad.
In terms of overbearing sports parents,
yes,
I think Caleb Williams has a higher likelihood of being Todd Marinovich than he does the Williams sisters. Right? That's what you got to ask yourself. This has worked in different ways. Richard Williams was a demanding sports dad. Worked out okay for Venus and Serena.
Same for Eli Manning.
Peyton and Eli Manning had a famous father. I wouldn't say Archie
got him traded.
Is overbearing, but Archie played his card with his youngest son, Eli, right?
He did not want him going to San Diego.
Yeah. I've never thought of Archie as some like, oh, well, my son deserves this, this, and this, and all that. But he did with that move to get Eli traded, and it worked out. I'm highly skeptical. And if I've got questions about it, I'm not drafting.
The skepticism is there. And honestly, with this entire quarterback group, it's there for me. I thought going into the college football season that this was going to be one of those quarterback groups like we saw, 5 or 6 years ago come into the league. Like we saw with Herbert, Burrow, whatever. It's not there for me now. There's so many, even though we saw Bo Nix and what he did at Oregon in this 1 year, J.J. McCarthy is all of a sudden right there with Jaden Daniels. Daniels is meeting with a handful of teams, too.
Jaden Daniels is one that we're not spending a lot of time talking about, but maybe he ends up being the best of this group. Another Heisman Trophy winner, but that's a guy that I really like.
And then Drake May. What has happened the last 2 years at North Carolina midway through the season for football?
I don't know.
They've dropped
that's
off
another
the face
one
of
that's,
the earth.
Yeah, I thought I would love Drake May coming into this draft way more than I do. And I don't love him.
Jaden Daniels has already met with the Bears, Commanders, Vikings, Jets, Giants, and Raiders, plus Seahawks and Saints. Many of the same group of teams. Those are your quarterback-needy teams.
Well,
you should meet with all of them.
How great for, let's say, Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels ends up with the Vikings. That's one that I circle and say, if you get with Justin Jefferson and can take over that team, if that's the team that, they're going to give up a massive haul, but if they trade up to get in that position to get the guy they want, or they stay put and get Daniels, let's say, later in the first round, or move up not to the front of the draft, but middle of the draft, or, picks 9, 10, 11, somewhere around there. That is a good spot for a rookie quarterback to land.
Is it any coincidence that Justin Jefferson news is out today that he's facing a paternity suit from his girlfriend or former girlfriend?
I thought the timing was interesting.
Timing's interesting because he's
really staying in the news cycle. His GM says we never considered trading him, and then a day and a half later, a day later, that was the ticker headline news. Vikings never considered trading Justin Jefferson.
You wouldn't.
Followed by a day later, Justin Jefferson faces paternity suit. Really staying in that news cycle.
Yeah, but he's about to get paid, and the paternity suit wasn't happening when. I guess it could have happened. It was a rookie deal. But it's definitely going to happen now. It's the highest paid wide receiver. That's coming up. Now's the time to pay him because you're going to have a rookie contract, I guess, for a quarterback. You know who's not going to get paid? Running backs. They're going to make good money, all things considered, but they're not going to make money that we're going to see across the skilled positions in the NFL. We already knew that. But there was a handful of the who's who at the position last offseason. They got together and they held this Zoom meeting. Saquon Barkley didn't want to be franchise tagged, but they worked out something where he took an extra $1 million and he took that 1-year deal and signed it anyway. Saw the same thing with Josh Jacobs, who was MIA with other parts of the country, except for with the Raiders at the time. But guess who played for the Las Vegas Raiders? Josh Jacobs. Look at the list. Notable running backs across the league right now as we get set for free agency in the middle of March. In the middle of March. You've got Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard, Austin Eckler. But it goes further than that with DeAndre Swift, Zach Moss, Devin Singletary, Edwards, and then A.J. Dillon. Chad, they're going to be bitching again, these running backs. And they'll actually probably get on a Zoom together at some point. Way too late. They'll do it after the franchise tag deadline is here and gone. That's coming up in a couple of weeks. Here's the problem, though. I don't disagree with what they're saying. It's the process that has led to this position being one of those that you can grab in the draft, and then you have the bonus. You have the jet fuel that you can add through free agency on the cheap end going into camp, and you have the depth needed and the veterans there that are going to move the chains and not going to break the bank. Blame the quarterbacks. I don't necessarily disagree with what Caleb Williams' father is saying, Carl, with the contract process, because at least he's going to bat for the position that must go to bat for the other players in the NFL. I get it. They're making a ton of money. But this is the billionaires against the millionaires, and there's one position that allows the billionaires to charge billions for the product. It's the quarterback group, and there's about 15 of them that control the market. We just went through last offseason, 4 getting paid with Herbert, Burrow. You also had Lamar Jackson, who no one wanted to stand up and say, yeah, he's doing the right thing. He's doing what's necessary. No, none of the quarterbacks would say, hey, Lamar's right. Even though he's representing himself, Lamar's right. We should have the guaranteed contract that we're seeing in Cleveland, everywhere, especially this position. No one did. And it's led to the structure where premium position in sports, the faces of the NFL, they're making great salaries, but they're not making what they could. And that has led to a group of position that's undervalued in terms of salary because they're only getting paid what I believe the franchise tag is just above the specialists, just above the kickers, punters, long snappers group. That's ridiculous in how they're used and what's needed to go win a championship. Chad, this is where Patrick Mahomes is about to get bumped up. I believe by the time we kick off the season, he's going to be the highest paid player in the NFL. He's got a great contract. He's not going to see 10 years, $500 million or whatever it was. They're restructuring to give themselves some cap leniency and get below it by the time they need to for the league year. But they also have already said, based on the new quarterback money, they're going to bump him up. Rightfully so. He should be the highest paid player in the NFL. He should have a guaranteed contract. What if he just said, no, I'm going to sit out. Guaranteed money. I want Deshaun Watson money. He'd get it. Patrick Mahomes would get it. And if all the quarterbacks at the top would look behind them at the other QBs and say, you know what, we're not playing until we get Deshaun Watson money. It's the only way you follow Deshaun Watson, by the way. They'd get it. The league's got to have it. They have to have those top names playing at the top position. And then there's the collective bargaining agreement. There's the NFLPA saying, hey, we've got this position. Now we need a structure to get all of it. Salary cap's going up and up and up and up with all the billions, the 10 billion or whatever they're going to get per year off this new contract, this new media contract.
So are you?
They need to band together, and in many cases. I'm
now,
not saying
when you say band together, you're talking about quarterback for quarterback.
No, I'm saying the quarterbacks. Last year,
if the quarterbacks got together, if a top quarterback on a team decided to, and I'm asking you,
yeah,
You're saying that a quarterback should hold out for their running back to get paid more money.
But if they do, they should hold out for the quarterbacks that just got paid. You had Lamar Jackson wanting guaranteed money, and then you had Burrow getting just above Justin Herbert, right? So the contracts are only going to go above the next guy. What is the NFL without Lamar Jackson, without Joe Burrow, without Justin Herbert, without Patrick Mahomes, without Jalen Hurts? Just the list goes on. They're just.
Well, see, I'm interested in this concept now. I'm pivoting here from this. Let me. I know what you're saying.
They need to go back for the position, and in turn, that would lead to the other players.
Well, okay.
The structure has led the running backs to be screwed based on the average salary per year, which is the franchise tag.
What would happen if Justin Herbert said, "I'm not showing up to camp. I'm holding out until you give Austin Eckler what he deserves"? I mean, we've never seen that. Like a quarterback. But we talk about being the leader, actually holds out or says, I'm not doing something until you do something for this guy.
He would ultimately show up based on the guarantees.
Well, and because he would also have to forfeit a lot of money.
But yeah, right.
But I mean, that's a bold statement, right? But if we're talking about them banding together, what if they banded together for a team?
But it's not just one player. The strength would be in this group, the group of the faces that make up the NFL Players Association. If you want someone speaking on your behalf, it's one of the quarterbacks. And it's not a large group, but it's about half of the starters. Because that is, in essence, what these networks are paying for. And it's not just one player. Mahomes could do it, but it's the strength of their contracts, too. So you would have Herbert going to bat with his salary versus Eckler. You would need Herbert teamed up with Burrow, teamed up with Mahomes, for that entire group, because one guy's already had Watson has the guaranteed contract.
Yeah.
And we still haven't seen it with the best dudes in the league. And that would trickle down. I'm not saying in the exact same offseason, but I mean, the positions.
You're saying that the quarterbacks got what they wanted by banding together. Eventually, the running backs and everyone else would also get what they want.
Last offseason, we kind of laughed at the running backs that got on that Zoom call.
Yeah.
Okay, what are you going to do? Just not play? No, they're going to play, but they do have a point. I mean, look around sport. The difference between Clay as a millionaire and a billionaire is, it is dumbfounding to me, the difference between the average salary in the United States versus becoming a millionaire and how long it would take you if you put $1 down, that game, versus if you were a millionaire, do you want to become a billionaire? The difference between the owners and the players. And the owners continue to have cities, governments pay for stadiums, and they continue to just rake in cash, rake it in. And the players do too. They're making good money, but they're not making money like the NBA or Major League Baseball. And this is the best pro league, period. And there's a group of 32 that's making the money, the vast majority of that haul. And it's kind of overlooked because it's like, oh, Lamar Jackson, whatever. You want guaranteed money? Get an agent. No. Team up with everyone. When I say everyone, the group of 12 to 15, we could write this down, the list of names. But it's the reason why you turn on the game. It's the reason why we complain about offenses and backup quarterbacks whenever they come in.
Yeah, and
we just didn't see it. They missed their opportunity because you had the best all up at the same time.
Yeah, and the NFL, also the whole billionaire thing, it's the billionaire who gets the breaks that they don't really need, right? We're talking about from cities and everything else. It always works out that way. The richer get richer because they get breaks and free things that really maybe other people deserve or should have, and not the billionaire. But that's neither here nor there. The NFL is the strongest league in American sports. And much like I don't want to mess with the NCAA basketball tournament, because I think it's the single best sporting event in America every year. I don't want to add teams to it. My counter to what you're saying is, if suddenly every quarterback gets a guaranteed contract, does that affect the quality of the league? I don't know that it would. I think with the 15 guys we're talking about right now, those guys aren't likely to tank it because they get a guaranteed contract. But if I'm an NFL owner and I'm playing devil's advocate, if I'm the ownership, I say, part of the reason we're so damn good and successful is these guys have to earn their millions. They could get cut at any time. Part of the reason that we strive for excellence, and you're never turning on a game on Sunday and asking the question whether or not this guy's going all out or not, is because nothing is guaranteed in this league. And if we start guaranteeing contracts, well, go turn on your NBA game on a Tuesday night. Go turn on Major League Baseball and watch guys that sit for months on end with a make-believe injury that already got paid their contract. We're going to have the same problems in the NFL that you have in other sports. That's what I'm arguing if I'm the owner.
Well, but you still have the other play. I mean, Lamar Jackson got paid, what, $50 million, $52 million per
Guaranteed.
season now. Yeah, per season on average. And he went and won the award, right? 2-time MVP now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have him as trying to be the voice of it, and he was just too little too late. Because the moment was there. And Mahomes has to lead the charge on it. But I'm not saying that they're crying poor, but it's another position group that's saying, hey, look over here, look at what we've done. And even if they got franchise tagged, it's way less than the average skill position. There's a huge drop-off between wide receiver and tight end to running back.
And I think it can be cyclical at times based on what the league needs and the priority of the position and how elite you are at that spot. There was a time where I don't think tight ends got paid as much. Then suddenly tight ends started getting paid more.
Yep.
Maybe for running backs, it eventually cycles back to where that happens. Quarterback's the one spot. I totally understand their argument about guaranteed contracts. If anyone's going to get it, it's them. I just selfishly watch the NFL, and I see them as more of a model for other sports leagues,
right,
and how it should be done. So I'm not going to also argue that, well, now you should start giving out guaranteed contracts to everyone, because I do fear that you would have some of what you see in the NBA and Major League Baseball happen to the NFL.
Yeah, and you have that already, though.
Right. And look, it's perfect tie-in is Caleb Williams. This is my fear about Caleb Williams. I think he is solely money brand focused with his team around him. And that's the impression they're putting off with prospective agents, teams, everyone, based on reports that's coming out. So I would be hesitant to give my franchise over to him for that very reason. But someone's going to do it. Someone's going to trade up and draft him.
I do think he's all about the best opportunity, though, because he went to Oklahoma for a reason, and then he transferred to USC for a reason. It was a coach. The guy was going to get paid. He got paid more in L.A., but he could have gone to L.A. Chad, here's the.
I want him to be motivated by winning a Super Bowl and not best opportunity to have offensive success to get another big contract. And I still think with Caleb Williams, that's the first driver. Talking about running backs, Derrick Henry, I believe Derrick Henry's motivation at this point in his career is not solely money driven. I believe this guy wants to go win a title and that he's going to sign. I would be shocked if he doesn't sign with someone that we don't say when he signs with them. Let's say it's Miami. Whoever it ends up being, we're going to be able to say, oh, that's a team that's a contender. They could make a run and win a Super Bowl. I believe that about Derrick Henry. I don't believe that Caleb Williams is specifically driven to win a Super Bowl first. I think he is driven to capitalize and maximize his own brand and make as much money as possible while he can.
Kelsey's doing that.
Yes, he is. He's about to be The Rock, apparently. He wants to be a movie star now.
But I'm saying Travis Kelce has that mindset. He's still very competitive.
What mindset do you mean?
He's capitalizing on any opportunity he has.
Well, Travis Kelce, though, was an all-pro for multiple years before he started doing this.
But this dude
I'm all for that.
This dude's a Heisman winner coming into the NFL.
I know, but he hasn't done a damn thing in the NFL yet. If Caleb Williams
None of these guys have when they come in.
If Caleb Williams has Travis Kelce's career and starts wanting to host SNL and do endorsements and look out for him and date a pop star,
he can't do that.
I'm all for it.
Well, he could date a pop star. He's not
I know,
hosting
because
SNL yet.
I want him to go be a successful NFL quarterback first before he starts talking about ownership stake.
But he's not the one talking about it. It's his father.
Exactly, and you just admitted you wouldn't want to draft him either because of his dad.
Yeah, but it's not because of Caleb Williams not wanting to win a Super Bowl. It's a lot of drama off the field.
I think Caleb Williams, if you asked him and gave him a truth serum and said, do you want to win a Super Bowl, he'd say yes. And the test would come back and show the lie detector would say, hey, he's not lying. We don't detect a lie.
Yeah, but Carl would say what?
I don't think that's his first driving force.
Carl would say, why are the players only getting paid this to win a Super Bowl in the game
What's
itself?
the Super Bowl bonus would be Carl's response to that. How much more money is he going to make if that happens?
I don't disagree with why you asked the question if the premise is about the haves and the have-nots in the league. if you got $1 every second from the day you were born until you wanted to be a millionaire, it would take you 11 and a half days to become a millionaire. $1 every second from the day you were born. It would then take 31.7 years to become a billionaire. That is insane to me.
Yeah.
And that's what they're dealing with.
No, but that's
and they still. But here's the.
That's what everyone's dealing with. I mean,
no.
I don't know any employee that's not dealing with that. There's a billionaire over them.
But we
all work for a billionaire somewhere.
But what doesn't work for them is their collective bargaining agreement. This is collectively bargained. That's the difference. And the league, by and large, it's not Jerry Jones. The league is the star and the quarterback for the Cowboys.
Right.
It's more than just
throw
that out there. Just go ask
their biggest issue.
Go ask the spring league quarterback.
So is your issue here the rookie wage scale or the fact they can't be an owner?
No, all I hear is I'm not going to laugh at Carl Williams for discussing the pay scale. The motive is what bothers me. But the running backs, to my first point on this, the running backs are going to have another Zoom call, and there's going to be, running backs, just shut up. Henry, Barkley. Go make your $5 to $10 million this year and just shut up. That's fine. That's exactly what they did. But they're going to rerun and run it back again with the whole thing. Oh, franchise tag, or we don't want to play for this or that. And it just doesn't matter because, all the quarterbacks are doing is playing for more than what the previous guy received. They're not playing for what Deshaun Watson received. So if they're not going to get it, no position group's going to get it.
So do you think Caleb Williams should get whatever he wants?
No,
that rookie should not. They should just be able to negotiate
what
for
I'm
whatever
saying
they
is,
want before
What
playing?
I'm saying is it's slotted in, and once you earn the right to speak on behalf of the Players Association, which this group could do, I'm not putting Williams in this group, then you earn the right to get the guaranteed money.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
By the way, if you're drafted in the first round, your contract is fully guaranteed.
Yeah,
so he will receive fully guaranteed money.
If he's great and then wants to get a fully guaranteed huge contract with his first contract he legitimately negotiates, I'm all for that. And I completely understand why veteran players would want this in place.
Joe Burrow was guaranteed. He was hurt a lot. Joe Burrow made $36.1 million guaranteed. It was a 4-year deal when he was drafted number 1 overall.
Yeah.
And he had a $23 million signing bonus.
So what's Caleb Williams' complaint? Because he's going to make that or more.
Well,
because he's probably going to be the number 1 overall pick.
Well, the complaint is you're just slotted in with any team to do that. That's all. Again, Caleb Williams isn't complaining. He's not the one complaining.
He needs to fire his father as business manager then, because that is going to be, that's his representative. He is attached to him. So when he speaks, Caleb Williams speaks.